in hope of the release of the 53 odd detainees from the first protest a couple of weeks ago. Now, today we're going to talk to four guests. Two of them are in Ghana. They are very well-known social media voices. Kali J and Brownon will be joining us to tell us what made them hit the streets in Ghana. But we certainly want to know what happened outside our borders as well. And Jada Ishan and Isaac Odey will be telling us why they felt it was necessary for them to become a part of the Free the Citizens and Stop Galamsey Now movement. Why don't we start? We can go to the UK first. Jada Ishan joins us. Jada, it's good to speak to you. Good morning. Do we have Jada Ishan? Okay, let's work to reconnect to Jada so that we can hear her thoughts. But we'll also be hearing from Isaac Odey in the UK, and in Ghana, Kali J and Brownon. Now, Ray, there were quite a lot of recognizable faces on the streets over the weekend. I think we have Jada back on the line now. Jada, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks for your patience. It's good to speak to you. You were out in your numbers over the weekend in the UK. There are many who wonder why something like Galamsey would matter to you, who are not resident here, and most would think not at risk of having to drink poisoned water.
Yes. So the reason why I volunteered to protest on Saturday was, as well as the Galamsey issue, it was also regarding the citizens that have been arrested and have been held. And so in terms of the actual Galamsey and me being in the UK, I frequently visit Ghana. I was in Ghana in May. I'll be in Ghana again at the end of the year. And it's not even just about the effects it has on me when I come and visit, but there's people that are constantly at risk of giving birth to children that have deformities. They're being poisoned by the waters that they're drinking. And so it matters to me. At my core, I'm a humanitarian. So whether it's the issue of Galamsey, whether it's the issue of queer Ghanaians in Ghana, whether it's the issue of people that are living below the poverty line, people that are not able to afford basic necessities, not able to go to hospital when they're sick, they're having to rely on the goodwill of people that donate, and with all these NGOs, these matters matter to me. And so as a Ghanaian living in the UK, my concern is always with the Ghanaian people. And so that is why I protested on Saturday outside the High Commission.
Isaac, talk to us about your experience. I mean, there were quite a number of Ghanaians out on the streets. Did you feel that your message was heard?
Yes, I feel our message was heard. I moved to the UK just a few years ago, and I've been living in Ghana for a long time, almost 2 decades of my life. So I really understand what's going on. I actually schooled in Chebi, and I knew what Galamsey did to my school. We actually had people who were there was a student who actually died from visiting one of the pits. And so I know what's happening, the effect and what's had on our lives. So yes, we did this particular protest in solidarity with our people back home to ensure that our message would be heard on the international stage as well. And people that passed by kept on looking at our placards. They understood what was going on. Some did stand there to record, and I believe they will post it on their social media. Others also did stand there to try to find out what was going on. And then there were a few other people who did try to explain to them what was happening. And we had other people from, there was also a Palestinian protest happening somewhere in London, and then they also came to join us to show solidarity that indeed all of us are suffering from all these illegal stuff that's going on all over the world. So yes, we feel our message was heard quite clear, and we believe that this would be the start, because as you can see, we've seen now the president is now trying to engage people, and he's had an interview on the international stage. So we believe our message was heard, and then this will not be the last time. We will try to ensure that we continue speaking matters happening back home, because it's our country. We there's no other country where we come from, and Ghana runs through our blood. So yes, we would continue doing that and make sure that our message will be heard all over the world.
Now, some of the captions on your placards were very interesting. There was one that said Ghana Water Limited, literally. That was clever. Then there was a play on the colors of the flag, someone saying blood, gold, greed instead of red, gold, green. And then there was another where the picture of the flag was adjusted so the green bit looked brown. And the question was, is this our flag's future? Some very inventive captions there. Let me ask you, why, or no, actually, what do you expect the outcomes to be of your demonstration? What specific actions do you expect to see taken by the government of Ghana? Jada.
Hi. So I think in terms of actions that I think can happen in the immediate future would be to halt the issuing of mining licenses. I saw an article where it said that in this week alone, 11 licenses have been issued, which I think it feels like a slap in the face for the people that are currently incarcerated, for the people that are protesting both online in Ghana, in London, in New York, that as we are fighting like this specific issue, it is just continuing. I saw that the president met with the leader of Organised Labour to try and stop this strike happening on the 10th. And whilst those conversations were happening, mining licenses were being issued.
Yeah.
And so I think the licenses, there needs to be a halt on that, as well as I know that the arrested protesters are currently in court this morning, I believe. So I hope that they will also be released.
Isaac, it takes a lot for you to come out of your busy schedules, whether you're students or workers, in England, to hit the streets. What can we expect more demonstrations if things don't go the way you expect? What's the next step?
Yeah, absolutely. So, indeed, we had this conversation after the protest ended, and then we decided that this will not be the last, and we would continue to speak on matters that are concerning Ghanaians and us living in the diaspora, and what we can also do to support back home. So, indeed, this will not be the only thing that we would do or we did. We intend to speak on things that would affecting all of us, not just people back home, as also affecting us. Because when things are happening, like you said, people are sick and people do not have good drinking water. The long-lasting effect is that if your sibling or a relative or a friend back home is sick, they are going to call you that I need money for hospital bills. You also have your life to live over here. The lasting effect is that you are also going to get affected because you need to send huge sums of money back home for them to take to the hospital, while these monies can be used for some other thing as well. So in order to stop all these unscrupulous things happening, we will continue to push the agenda of Ghana first, everything else second. Ghana first, put your party aside, put your personal interest and greed aside, and let us all push the Ghana agenda. I don't understand if everybody is benefiting from a working system. Wouldn't you be happy? Would you have to face all these protests or all these insults, quote unquote, happening on social media? You'll be happy. Everybody will be happy, and then we will all have to live simple, happy lives. But then if you try to make things so difficult for us, I mean, one of the placards that I saw from Ghana was, we want just the barest minimum. How is that even hard? Just clean water. Stop issuing licenses and put a total ban on that. How is that so difficult? And like Jada said, the president was having a conversation with the leader of the organized labor, and then that same day he was issuing licenses. Like, how can you give with the right hand and then take with the left hand? There's no progress in that. So yes, we are not going to stop. We will continue pushing the agenda of Ghana first.
Right, Jada. What do you say to those
We need to put Ghana first. That's what we are going to do.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks, Isaac. Let me ask you this, Jada. What do you say to those who suggest that, well, the timing of this campaign gives an advantage to one side of the political divide than the other, and so they suggest that, it's only 2 months to the election, so why don't we all take a breather, rest a bit, and then, after the 7th of January, then we can start going hard on Galamsey. What do you say to that?
I think it's quite disappointing when people try and politicize this issue that is going on. There are activists that I personally see on X, that speak about these issues all year round. However, I don't believe that this is a party, like, who do you support? That's whose side you will be on in these demonstrations. Like at the protests, when they were the first day of the protest, I saw that they had burnt both NDC and MPP flags. So I don't think it's one side or other, but I think it's important now that we talk about it before the elections in December, because what little work can be done before December should be done. And it's also showing a strong stance of the Ghanaian youth, both globally and in Ghana, that this is what we're expecting of the next government, whether that is NDC or whoever comes into power, that this is what the expectation is. This is where the issue is at, because it's progressively getting worse each and every day. I saw that they said now 60% of the water bodies are affected. So this is something that is only going to get more and more pressing before it gets to a place where it's irreversible. And so I think it sends a strong message to whoever comes into power, that the youth are awake and are listening and will keep on talking about this issue on a global stage, whether it embarrasses Ghana or not, that this is something that needs to be solved and really focused on.
Right. Stay with us, Jada and Isaac. I want to bring in two of those who were on the streets in Accra during the last protests. Brownson Adachi is the convener of Concerned Citizens Against Galamsey. He joins us now alongside Joshua Buenote Boydo, who is popularly known as Kali J on social media. He's an influencer there. Kali J and Brownson, good morning to you both.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Perhaps I'll start with Brownson, if I may. Now, the first protests led to arrests. There were some who thought that as a result of that, the spirit of protest might be stifled. But even more people turned out for the second one. Why do you think that is?
Okay, so let me say good morning to your listeners. And I use this opportunity as well to appreciate all well-meaning Ghanaians who came to the street to register their displeasure. My brother, the severity of the issue at hand, is more threatening than any form of suppression or any form of opposition that may come at us. I think that is what informed the decision of young Ghanaians and other well-meaning Ghanaians to come to the streets to demonstrate again or to protest against Galamsey. And more importantly, you realize that the Ghanaian youth have an understanding that an attempt on the life of one Ghanaian is also an attempt on the life of everyone. So if the right of one person or a citizen has been abused and we all keep quiet about it, then it means that when it becomes a norm, then any of us rights can easily be abused at any time and no one talks about it. I think that is what informed the decision of many people to come to the street to prevent being suppressed and then to fight against the devastation caused by Galamsey, because it is very catastrophic, and the catastrophic nature of the effects of Galamsey is what actually drove many people to the street, I'm sure.
Now, Kali J, there was a very strong presence of influencers like yourself and people whose voices are normally heard on social media, where you tend to fight your battles with the keyboard. What influenced your transition from, sitting at home and, fighting your battles there to hitting the streets?
Okay, good morning to you and your listeners. To begin, I'd like to say, in everything, I'm Ghanaian first, and I always put the country before a personal interest. So I believe it goes along with my other influencers and celebrities and public personalities. I believe we are all Ghanaian first, and everybody that showed up because they are Ghanaian and they believe they are fighting for a right cause. So I think that was the major reasons why we're on the streets. We're on the streets to advocate for the freedom of our people, and we're on the streets to fight for clean and safe drinking water. And as humans, we all drink water. If the water bodies are contaminated, it doesn't matter if you're a public figure or not. It doesn't matter if you're an influencer or not. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. As long as you drink water, you are at risk. And a lot of the influencers and public figures got the message. So they were on the streets to express their pleasure as well as advocate for the freedom of our colleagues, friends.
Thanks for that. Now, Brownson, this second time out, there were no arrests. There were no records of, law breaking on the part of the demonstrators. Everything seemed to go smoothly and peacefully. Those who support the earlier arrest of the 53, those who are not with you on the Free the Citizens Now movement, suggest that this is a positive outcome of the first arrest, that it has made you all more careful, and that's why this second one was so peaceful. Do you agree?
So I think when it comes to protest, whether the protesters become violent, or whether there are issues of disorder or endangering of public safety, it depends on two things. No one actually goes out of their homes to the street just to become violent for no reason. Now, it may depend on confrontation from the other parties in the demonstration. So let's take it. The police have their responsibility in a protest, and then the protesters also have their responsibility. See, my brother, no one will go confronting the police if they don't also act in a certain way. So for this particular protest, it is not as if our brothers and sisters were violent in a way, or they disobeyed public order acts and then flouted rules and authorities. No, I don't want to entirely believe that, but I want to say that on this for this particular one, we all decided, in coordination with the police, decided to play our parts well. So the police understood that they are not supposed to go beyond their responsibilities. Now, protest is not terrorism, and it is not a clamorous demonstration. Therefore, protesters shouldn't be seen as people who are against the state and then harsh policing meted out to them. I think we were all on the same board during this particular protest. We were all on the same level. We understood what we should do. I think that was what played. It is not as if the arrest of the other people is what causes. So it becomes a norm that you arrest protesters and you abduct them and you manhandle them. I don't think that should be the narrative.
Now, I know that one of the big things you are pushing for, Kalije, is for the release of those who've been arrested. The Attorney General spoke last week when he addressed some judges, and he actually asked them to move things along quickly so that those who can be sent home will be sent home. How do you react to that?
We are at a point where we don't want words, we want action. And today, some of our colleagues we are arraigned before court, and we are waiting, we are watching.
Kalije, can you speak up a little bit so we can hear you clearly?
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that we are at a point where we are beyond words and words. We want action. And today, some of our colleagues are going to be arraigned before the court, and we are waiting and we are watching, and we want to see what they will do. And if we do not get the answers that we want, they will hear from us, because the person prosecutes the people is actually. So I believe if it is interest that the people should be free, we should have shown action by now. It goes beyond words. So we are waiting, we are watching, and hopefully they hear from us if we do not get the right answers.
All right, let me bring back Isaac and Jada for a moment. Now, Isaac, the president granted an interview recently. It started to make the rounds over the weekend. He granted an interview to a foreign journalist and said to them that the president is not responsible for arrests. How do you respond to that? I mean, should the pressure for the freeing of the protesters be directed at the president? Do we still have Isaac with us? Isaac, can you unmute for us?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
So, I mean, it's like what he said, that it's the duty of the court to determine if somebody is guilty or not, and then it's not it's not by him. So what I just feel is that indeed he's just speaking according to the law, but then he said, and then he did mention that during the period whereby he did a Kumi he also had some of these protests going on. So indeed, technically, probably we shouldn't be directing that to him, and then that should be directed to the court. But then, like our previous speakers have said, it's really sorry that if you've decided to exhibit your right to protest, and then you've been incarcerated for this long, that's a bit of a worry, because this shouldn't take about 2 weeks. You shouldn't incarcerate your citizens just for protesting for something good for 2 weeks. So the pressure should be directed to him, all right, because probably he appoints some other people like the AG and some people in the court of law. But then we should also be directing the pressure to the court for them to process the case quickly, and then if they have to be charged with some fines or whatever, that shouldn't take over 2 weeks to be done. They should, in some jurisdictions, some of these quote unquote petty crime are dealt with quickly, and then within a day or two, if they are charged with fines, that should be done. But incarcerating people for protesting for something that's going to benefit not just us, but then our future generation, because this is a generational crisis, not just economic or health. This is something that is going to affect people way beyond our time. So this should not be something that we should. It should be a national matter for people to be incarcerated in for protesting for their rights.
Okay, Jada, do you agree that the president should be left out of this one?
I think that although what he says is true of how these three arms are separated, so that being the executive, him, and then the legislature and judiciary, they should all be separated. But we can't deny that in Ghana, there's ways that people in power are able to influence others. I think if he took a stand and he said that he thinks that the young people are right to be protesting, if he took a stand and said that he believes that Galamsey is wrong, that people shouldn't be arrested for protesting, it would influence the other departments. And when the police are speaking, they're saying that they've had orders from above, and I'm sure that the judiciary is the same. And so I think he does have the influence to, even if it's not going to affect the court case, but to at least put some hope in the youth as well. So I think that that would be his responsibility to do so.
Right. So let's talk about the future. I'll stick with you, Jada, for a moment. Yeah. Now, your concerns go beyond Galamsey. Obviously, that's what you're preoccupied with now, and of course, the freeing of the protesters. But you've talked about other issues that are of importance to you, for which you'd be, very interested in how things pan out in Ghana. Can we expect to see you and your compatriots hitting the streets more often? What are some of the other issues that might bring you out?
Yes, I definitely would protest further because Galamsey is a big issue, but it's not the only issue that is affecting the country of Ghana at the moment. As I had stated earlier, some of the other issues that I am passionate about and care about. But yes, I think demonstrations and protests and speaking out are very important things that we as young people should be doing. So yes, I would definitely protest in the future. If I was in Ghana, I would have protest along with my other Ghanaians, but I had to protest in London. But there are plenty of issues. Did you want me to speak about those issues particularly?
Okay. Let's get final words from Isaac as well. If you had the opportunity to give a message directly to the president, those in government, what would your message be?
So my message would be that indeed, two truths can coexist, in the sense that Galamsey is a national crisis, and then the people involved indicate that it's because they do not have jobs, that's why they are engaging in Galamsey. So we should be working towards resolving this particular national crisis, whilst also finding ways to ensure that all of these people are put into jobs. And so that's what I'll tell them to do, is that for now, they should put a total ban on small-scale mining, whether Galamsey or Lionsville small-scale mining, because they are all part of all the issues that are happening in our various small towns. And so that's what I'll tell them to do. Before then, what the vice president recently said yesterday, I think that they are going to find ways to know where the gold deposits are before they start issuing license. Sorry, that's also a good thing. But for now, we need the ban on Galamsey, whether small scale mining. That we just need a ban, and then we need a very national consensus for the reclamation of our lands, and then from there, then we can now start issuing whatever we need to issue. But for what I want to just say now is that we need a total ban on small-scale mining.
Thank you for that. Thanks to you and Jada for your time. We know you've got a few other engagements, so we'll let you go. But we'll stay with Kali J and Brownson. All right. Well, Kali J and Brownson have been speaking to us about their participation in the protests over the weekend. We're going to wrap up with them now. And I guess I'd like to hear from both of you on this. Organized labor has waded in. They say that from the 10th, they will start strikes and protests across the country. But the president has already met with them, and the suggestion is that they are seeking to avoid these strikes. Brownson, what's your take on that?
Okay, great. I think my message is clear here. Now, the president's meeting with organized labor was very unnecessary. Why? Organized labor is threatening strike and protest because they need action. They need something done. And that is a ban on Galamsey. Now, meeting with them is just to go and actually sort them out so they don't go on strike. The only thing that can prevent them from going on strike and organizing protests across the country is putting a ban on Galamsey and its activities. So why do we think the president went there to see them? So to compromise their action? That is the problem we have as a nation. And that is why we are on the streets fighting against Galamsey. The fight against Galamsey by state authorities or by the president started not today. He even said he would put his presidency on the line. But after 7 years, he's now going to have, he now went to have a meeting with organized labor to massage time to do what, I don't know. But then I am beseeching and I pray organized labor that they should not, or their actions shouldn't be compromised. They should go for the strike. They should organize multiple protests across the country, so leadership understands that it is not every time they can play petty politics with serious and critical issues that are life-threatening. I think that is what I have to say.
Okay. Kali J, I mean, if indeed labor has demands and the government intends to meet those demands, would it be wrong for government to have a meeting with labor to tell them how those demands are to be met? Do we have Kali J? I think we may have.
Hello.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. So I was saying, if government really cared about the Labour Commission and what they think or what their demands, they would have responded to them even before the first deadline. You do not wait for them to. You do not wait for the deadline to get there before you start setting up meetings and trying to meet their demands and trying to convince them to give you extra time because you had all the time in the world. I believe this is just PR and trying to delay but hopefully the Labour Commission turns their grounds and the government how serious they can be because I feel they only listen to them when things are going out of control and it shouldn't be the case. The citizens and the interests of the people should be at heart, and I think this government hasn't been able to do that for the past 8 years. Right. So I think the Labour Commission should start the ground and finish the fight that we've all started and we've all trained.
I think when you say Labour Commission, you mean organized labor, right?
Okay, organized labor.
Yeah. That's great. All right. I want to say a big thank you to both of you, Kali J and Brownson, for speaking to us this morning. We appreciate your time very much.
Thank you very much.